Hi guys, it's Jacob from Stringbuzz here, stringbuzzworld.org being the music journalism site, links are in the description down below. And this is the second time I'm uploading this video. I did originally upload this video about a week ago, but I was sniffly, I was horrible, the video quality was terrible, so I'm redoing it just to give you something nicer to look at, and hopefully I don't look as dreary as I did last time. So as you can guess by the title, it's Stringbuzz's top 20 best songs of the year 2016. The only specification being, it has to have been released after January the 1st, 2016 and before December, whatever it is, 2016 as well. Fairly simple stuff really. So by far our favourite segment of the year to create, we are so happy to finally present to you our top 20 best tracks of the year. In this list we will include everything from unsigned acts to bigger stuff you've probably heard on the radio this year. Remember that this is the opinion of Stringbuzz and that this list is based on the track as an art form rather than a commercial entity. So let's dive straight into it, shall we? So starting at number 20, we have Flower of Life by DORJE. So it's no secret that we have been singing the praises of these guys for a while now. The EP really delivered this year. I've been spouting that they are probably the best hard rock group around at the moment, and they only further prove that with this excellent track. Aggressive, catchy, unique and strangely nostalgic, this track has to be one of the best, or rather has one of the best riffs I've heard this decade, no doubt. The experimental form and the strong vocal performance only adds to this track. It reminded me a ton of Ozzy Osbourne's criminally underrated album Scream, and the instrumentals on there. Even the mixing sounds similar. Great rock track and definitely deserves to be on this list. Coming in at number 19, we have Give by Yumi at 6. If you had told me that a Yumi at 6 track would be on this list at the start of the year, I probably would have laughed at you profusely. In fact, if you had told me the same thing after their first single off of this latest album, I still would have laughed just as hard. But this track came out of nowhere and really took me off guard. It's powerful, it's anthemic, it's gorgeously mixed, and Josh has one of the best vocal performances of his career on this track. Sure, some people will connect with this track more than others, but for me it did everything I needed it to do. It had to blow away my expectations, it had to be catchy, it had to drop the cheesiness, and it had to reimagine their sound for a modern audience. It did all that and buckets more, so a really great track to listen to here. At number 18, we have an independent track, the first independent track to feature on this list, and it's My Girl by We Were Glue. The newest track also to feature on this list, and one I didn't really expect to affect me as much as it actually did. My Girl is a precise, fun and exciting indie track from the independent group We Were Glue. I perhaps didn't praise this track as much as I should have during the actual song review, and I feel a little bit stupid for not doing that. It's so darn catchy, I love the mixing, and it threw me back into 2005, back during the golden age of British indie music. This track has been on repeat all week here at Stringbuzz, and I'm so excited to see what this group does next. When catchiness is paired with inventiveness, you know you have a recipe for success. At number 17, we have Stranger by Amber Run. A slow burner for me, it took me a while to truly connect with this song. I thought it was a solid track when I first heard it, but after the 10th listen, suddenly it became one of my favourites. Things clicked and I felt hooked, replaying it over and over again, especially throughout the last few weeks. The mixing is spot on, the chorus is epic as all hell, and it's just so unique in comparison to its competition, a competition which is actually kind of thin at the moment. With one track, they managed to make me a devout fan of their discography, and I've been grasped in ever since. One of the best alternative tracks of the year. In fact, it's a little like Give, but a little bit more refined. On to number 16 here, we have a bit of an unexpected one, a surprising one. We have The Love We're Hoping For by BUGG. Going into my first listen of this track, I actually really disliked BUGG. I've never found his music at all catchy or unique. It just appealed to lonely indie girls, and as you can tell, that's not really up my alley. But I was blown away by their latest effort from Jake, and it made me rethink my entire attitude towards a singer-songwriter. The track sounds like a collaboration between Don McLean and America. If Breaking Band was still around, this track would feature on it. Fantastic lyrics, brilliant vocal performance, and minimalist mixing, and an all-round a great acoustic track. Now we've hit the quarter mark on this list, we have a bit of a sad one. This is because this group actually broke up earlier this week, and I think that's a great shame. It's The Bend by Fish Tank. It's saying something that I actually cite this track as the worst Fish Tank release ever, and yet it's still a sick track, let's be honest. They just aren't capable of releasing a bad song. Experimental, technical, catchy and completely unique. The new lineup, or rather the old lineup, because obviously they've broken up, hasn't affected their sound one bit this year, and this track really proves that. With one of the more powerful vocal performances by Ed, the whole track just flows ever so satisfyingly. The video is also fantastic, by the way. It suits the track so well. The lyrics are just as quirky and different as ever, just like any other Fish Tank song. For the 5th year in a row, they have impressed me to an incredibly high degree, and I think the music world is going to miss these guys a lot. These guys have been definitely in my top 5 favourite groups of this decade. On to number 14 now. We have one which you've probably heard of. It's Versace on the Floor by Bruno Mars. It's been another great year for Bruno Mars, and yet again he has released hit after hit. However, the track I seem to enjoy the most is Versace on the Floor. It's just so different and unique to anything out there on the market at the moment, and it's probably his most memorable track to date. He's the biggest male artist in the world at the moment, and deservedly so. He's the only pop artist who doesn't follow trends, he makes them. Utilising a 90s-esque approach in this day and age is often risky, and it hasn't worked for a lot of people, but boy did it pay off here. The chordal work is catchy and sexy, the lyrics are cheesy yet so fun, the vocals are absolutely fantastic, and I haven't a bad word to say about this track. The mixing is also strong throughout the track, and it's like the best Boys to Men track that has ever been mastered. I've said a lot about how much I love Bruno Mars and his approach to melody making, and this track is the perfect song to prove my point. Moving on to lucky number 13, here we have Cocoon by Milky Chance. Another slow building track here. I really didn't think much of this song when it originally came out, and you can see that in my song review. But after some decent radio coverage and a little self-reflection, I am willing to admit that this track I definitely got wrong in my review. It's so darn catchy, and Milky Chance have yet again proved why they're one of the best acoustic bass bands in the world right now. The lyrics are imaginative and constantly develop upon a clever theme, the melodies are catchy, and the vocal performance is just as strong as ever, and the mix between electronica and acoustic has never been so fluid. A really great track that you should all go out and check out after this segment is finished. On to number 12 now. We have an Australian-based group, another independent group as well, Mango Retreat, with their track Here on Earth. Now, I hate pop folk music. I hate rustic pop folk, acoustic-based music, a bit like Mumford & Sons, those type of people. But this group just surprised me, almost unforgettably so. They just have the ultimate amount of chemistry, and for such a young group, I'm almost overwhelmed by the professionalism. The vocals harmonise ever so beautifully, the instrumentation is catchy and quirky, and the lyrics just make me smile from edge to edge. The production is also amazingly good for an independent folk group. I actually stumbled across this track by accident, and it was the turning point of the year that led me to listening to much more independent music than the signed stuff. A fun, well-arranged piece that deserves to be on shuffle on your phone right now. On to number 11, and perhaps a surprising one for a lot of people, we have SURFIN by Kid CUDI featuring PHARRELL Williams, who's more of a producer on this because he doesn't actually feature on the record. So Kid CUDI has released around 6 tracks that could have been featured on our worst list this year. In fact, one actually was featured on that list. But with PHARRELL at the helm, he's creating an absolute banger in SURFIN. It's catchy, it's funky, it's uplifting, it's by far the best track he's made in years. For the first time in a long time, and I understand that there are circumstances outside of music which might lead to this assumption, he actually sounds like he's having fun on this track, and he's less wound up about not being seen as a genius and more free to having just a good time when recording this song. The production is pretty good too, despite the instrumentation being quite simplistic. I love the tribal drums, and it's the only song this year I've actually enjoyed with said tribal drum setup. A lot of people have used it and I haven't really liked it, whereas this one used it perfectly. Perhaps my favourite pop song of the year must be the PHARRELL effect on this one. Halfway on this list, at number 10, we have APIEROPHOBIA by Animals as Leaders. Yes, that's right, like Kid CUDI, Animals as Leaders also have a track on our worst list. Admittedly, it was only an honourable mention, but nonetheless, it was there. This track is by far the best song on their latest album and the only one with any soul to it. It's a classical masterpiece and contains the best acoustic playing I've heard all year. It's clearly a Reyes-driven track and I love it. It develops into an absolute masterpiece by the midway mark, and it keeps going and going, getting better and better each second. Imaginative, innovative and a technical achievement, this track is ruddy marvellous. On to number 9 here, we have Shame by Funeral for Bird. I knew one of Joe's tracks would feature here on this list. It just took me a while to decide which one he was going to. I mean, he's released 3 albums this year. If that's not enough for you to listen to at least one of them, then honestly, check him out. He's the most unique artist I've heard all year. After much deliberation, we decided on Shame. Shame is probably the most unique track on this list, and I've said the word unique a lot during this segment, so that's great praise indeed. The vocals are catchy yet lyrically ambiguous. The instrumentation is gorgeously mixed and follows some fantastic progressions. The pads, the strings, when they come in, it just makes my jaw drop each time I listen to this track. The form is also imaginative, and I can't wait for what 2017 holds for this artist because he's blown us away all year. On to number 8 now, we have another Australian bloke, and that's PLINI with his track Handmade Cities. And oh no, here it comes, the prog invasion on this list. You all guessed it was going to come, but I can't help it. PLINI's latest album is probably the best prog album of the decade, and we decided to pick this song off of it just because I think it sums up the album the best. Technical, harmonious, imagery-inducing, and masterfully mixed, the track is a genuine musical accomplishment. PLINI is perhaps the most inventive artist in the genre right now, and considering that genre is prog, it's really saying something. The way he combines ambience and atmosphere with technicality is unbelievable, and it's such an impressive track by such an impressive artist. Here with number 7 now, we have Worry by Jack Garratt. Luckily enough, I got the chance to see this live fairly recently, and it only further cemented its place in this year's top tracks list. Worry is just a track that combines EDM with blues, and it actually works unbelievably well, kind of surprisingly so. Jack Garratt has had by far the best musical debut of the year. I've been saying this all year. The guy is just so talented. With one of the best male vocal performances of the year and an individualised blend of drum and bass with blues, the guy just knocks it out the park with this track. It's sincere, it's emotional, it's complex, it's multidimensional, and there just aren't any flaws. Another fantastic track by a fantastic artist. Here with number 6, we have Dan James Griffin with his track Darnell, and you might be saying, oh no, more prog, blah blah blah, but this track deserves to be on this list. The guitar performance of the year goes to Dan James Griffin with this track Darnell. Although it's not as complex as a lot of his other tracks, to me it's my favourite. Its melody and instrumental harmony is completely unmatched, and I could listen to this track over and over for the rest of my life and be totally satisfied. It's intelligent, it's emotive, and it's just an absolute stonking track. Make sure to look out for this artist during 2017. That year's going to be his year, in my opinion. He's going to feature on a lot of lists then. On to number 5, and our final independent track to feature on this list, we have Shudder by Youth Salute. Another independent track hits this list, and this time we have my favourite independent track of the year, and that's Shudder. Shudder is a little pop-punky, a little hard rocky, a little proggy, and it's a whole ton of fun. Youth Salute are like Moose Blood meets DORJE, and hopefully that makes some form of sense to you. The track is technical, it's sincere, it's bitter, it's intelligent, it's progressive, and it's produced fantastically. If you want to hear more about this track, then please read our review. I don't think we put one up here on the YouTube channel, but we have put one up at the site, so definitely check that out, as well as the song. Coming in at number 4, we have Crush by POLYPHIA, and I have one word for this track, and that's bass. Funky fresh bass, the funkiest of fresh bass, in fact. Completely different to the majority of the POLYPHIA discography, Crush is just a groovy, instrumentally sound way of taking up your time. I probably listened to this track the most out of any song on this list, and that's down to its unmatchable replayability factor. It's just so funky, and, you know, POLYPHIA, you win this time around. Here at number 3, in our bronze medal position, we have Maggie Rogers and her track Alaska. Although I haven't really enjoyed her follow-up singles to this track, I still have to admit I do love this song. It's strange because the track is almost entirely out of my repertoire. It possesses no elements or staples which I actively look for in music, but like POLYPHIA's track, it's just so darn catchy. It's quirky, it's different, and it's immensely fresh to hear a young artist reinventing pop music. The beat is catchy and atypical, the vocal performance, especially falsetto-wise, is out of this world, and I'm so excited to see where this artist goes next year. I'm quite easily see her being the next biggest thing in pop music, and next year will prove that, no doubt. I imagine she'll feature on some colossal tracks next year. Here at number 2, in our silver medal position, we have Black America again by Common featuring Stevie Wonder. Although I haven't heard the full album, which I hear is currently getting panned by critics, this track in particular completely blew me away during a month where I began to lose hope in a lot of modern music. This track is an instant classic and has the best mixing of the year, full stop. I keep coming back to how well those strings have been mixed, and each time I just lick my lips. This is the baseline in which I will measure mixing off of for the next year or so, if not longer. It's thought-provoking, emotive, and came out during a time full of mass division. It's the perfect track to really sum up this year. Stevie Wonder also has an excellent performance towards the end of this track, and Common puts in the performance of a lifetime here. It's weighted, it's intelligent, and it's by far my favourite rap track of the year. It's this close to being number 1. It was really a toss-up, and I kept going back and forth which one I wanted, but it narrowly missed out. But you definitely have to check out this track. Not the remix, the original. Here at number 1, in our gold medal position, and it's no surprise really, if you've been following the site, and I probably even mentioned it here on the YouTube channel a lot of times, I felt it's been Solange's year, and Cranes in the Sky is my #1 favourite track of the year. For me, it's just been Solange's year due to her consistency and her immense new album that has been head and shoulders above the rest of the competition. How she hasn't been nominated for a Grammy this year, I think is absolute blasphemy. Proving that she is just as, if not more talented than her sister, Cranes in the Sky is my favourite track of the year by a long stretch. Again, it's quirky, it's jazzy, and it showcases a completely new side to the singer. It's like an electronic lounge session, and I love it. It's an incredibly intelligent track with fantastic lyrics, great mixing, and the perfect form. The melodies here are just damn near angelic, and each time I listen to this track, I'm almost entranced by her performance, which is saying a lot. The instrumentals create an ambience and that is almost haunting, and it's like an atmospheric dream. It's kind of strange, but it's a beautiful track. Definitely deserved of the #1 spot, and you guys have to hear this one. So if you enjoyed this video, this lengthy video, then please leave a like, subscribe to see more, and I'll see you around next time. Bye bye.